Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, max out your savings. The more you buy, the more you save on beds, bases, and more. Plus, get free home delivery on any smart bed with base. Limited time. Check it out at a Sleep Number store near you or at sleepnumber.com today.
AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride! Woo!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR. We are presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing, and we're thrilled to have you with us. Not from the Raising Cane studio. We are actually on LSU's campus at the Journalism Building here at the Manship School of Mass Communication at the Sports Summit earlier today. Thrilled to have been invited to be a part of that and hang out here for AFR today, a place where I walk these halls for many days. We're very pleased to have the Governor, Jeff Landry, join us here for a few minutes in light of, I guess it's fair to say, a little bit of a firestorm that was created yesterday. Governor, it's a pleasure. Thank you for the time. How are you?
Thank you, Matt. Sure wish I could be sitting right next to you as we do this interview, and really do appreciate you giving me some time. I've done a number of interviews today. There seems to be a lot of misinformation and disinformation out there, and so wanted an opportunity to kind of correct the record.
Well, let's talk. I know the thing that you want to start with discussing is who actually is responsible for paying the $53 million buyout contractually. So I'll give you the floor and then I'll follow up.
Yeah. And so, and you know, let's start off with the rumor about this meeting at the governor's mansion, and that I was involved in whether somebody was being fired or not fired. There was a meeting. That meeting was simply to go over the legalese of the contract. I needed to understand who ultimately was going to pay for the $53 million, if that's what is ended up being paid. Like, who's responsible for it? And so after 3 hours and pouring through the contract and looking at everything, it is very simple. Ultimately, the state of Louisiana and the Louisiana taxpayers would be ultimately responsible for paying that amount. Now, look, if somebody decided, hey, you know what, I'm going to relieve the state of Louisiana of that obligation, and they want to stroke a $53 million contract, a $53 million check, then that would take the state of Louisiana off of the hook. But make no mistake about it, the contract, anybody that says otherwise needs to read the contract. In fact, we just posted that out. The Louisiana State University is a subdivision of the state. And ultimately, the taxpayers are responsible under that contract.
Is there any precedent for state tax dollars paying a buyout for a coach?
Well, I don't know. You mean in the country or in the state of Louisiana?
I couldn't find one in the country today, but I was just using Google and AI. But if you know of any, I'd be curious.
No, I don't know, Matt. But here's the most important thing. I have to live in Realville. I have to know who ultimately has to pay the bill if no one does step up. No one came to the mansion and said, hey, I got a $53 million check. Don't worry, Governor, we got this. Let's make that very clear. But what has happened in the past, and certainly we haven't had a price tag this big, but in the past, it had been TAP or somebody else that had come up there and said, hey, we want to make a change in coaching, and we're willing to help offset whatever these costs are. Nobody stepped up.
So let's point out this report that's out there. Have any donations been committed, to your knowledge, to contribute to Brian Kelly's buyout?
To my knowledge, okay, no one has. No one has come and reported that to me. And, so there's a lot of rumors going around. There's a lot of accusations and misinformation that's spreading around. Like I'm in control. I'm not picking the next coach. I said that yesterday in the press conference. I really don't want to be involved in this as long as the state of Louisiana, our taxpayers, are not involved. And, Matt, here's the thing that we're missing. This whole thing started when I tweeted about the ticket prices. Because, we keep talking about this money. We're throwing millions and tens of millions of dollars and $50 million around like it's quarters and nickels. But, when you fill Tiger Stadium with working people, with truck drivers, with plant workers, with welders, with plumbers, with HVAC people, with teachers, and those people pay a lot of money to see entertainment. And making those decisions as to whether we're going to raise their prices, take money out of their pocket when we got contracts that go out there, are, in my opinion, completely irresponsible.
Governor Jeff Landry is with us. You said you will not pick the next coach. In your press conference, you did say that there would be a committee to choose the next coach. Who would be on that committee?
That's a question that you'd have to ask the Board of Supervisors. In fact, in the press conference, if you listen to it in its entirety, that's exactly what I said. I said, listen, LSU is governed by a Board of Supervisors. There's an athletic committee, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I've got a lot of things to do. We've got a number of boards that govern universities around. I deal with all of them on a pretty regular basis, unfortunately. But I don't micromanage the thing. There's an athletic committee. They'll pick a search committee and they'll move forward.
Would you serve on that committee?
Absolutely not. I mean, listen, if I said I was not picking the next coach, that means I don't want to be a part of the process.
Governor Jeff Landry is our guest. You said also definitively that Scott Woodward would not pick the next coach. Do you or does the governor have the governor, I guess the way to ask it, does the governor have the authority to fire the athletic director at LSU?
I don't know. No, the governor does not have the authority to fire him. But I sure can call the Board of Supervisors and say, listen, I'm going to tell you, I do not think it's a good idea for us to have Scott Woodward negotiating the next contract with the coach. When you look at the way this agent system is working, under which the athletic director has the same agent as the coach. I mean, that is automatically a conflict of interest.
I want to get into the contract structure because it's something you said that you and I agree on, and I would love to elaborate in a second. But if I could follow up, if Scott Woodward is not making the hire, will Scott Woodward continue to serve as LSU's athletic director with 3.5 years remaining on his contract?
Again, that's questions for the Board of Supervisors. We hopefully will have a new president of that LSU on Tuesday that they're going to select. I think they whittled it down to 3. Those are all questions that that should be answered by LSU, not by me. Again, once the taxpayers are off the bill, I'm out.
Would you be in favor? So Scott Woodward has 3.5 years remaining on his deal, and the buyout for Scott Woodward would be north of $6 million. Would you be in favor of removing Scott Woodward if it came down to paying a $6 million buyout?
Look, what I'm going to tell you, Matt, is I'm not interested in having Scott Woodward negotiate and pick the next coach. Look, again, I want to look real carefully at how this agent process works. I think y'all are missing the bigger point, not only at LSU, but in college football as a whole. Like if me and you are negotiating that or something, maybe, a sponsorship for your radio or whatever it is, or a job or whatnot, you go get a lawyer on your side. That lawyer can't represent you and me. That's called a conflict of interest. And so what we have seen, and let me correct something that you said yesterday, because I didn't say that either. I did not say that Sexton was Woodward's agent. But my understanding is that they both had the same agent.
We're talking about Brian Kelly's agent being Trace Armstrong and Jimbo Fisher, which is the A&M contract that you referenced.
And Armstrong was Woodward's agent as well, is my understanding.
No, forgive me. Just to clarify, I was referring to Jimbo Fisher's agent being Jimmy Sexton and Brian Kelly's agent being Trace Armstrong. Those agents being different of those two men. I want to talk, and Governor Landry's with us for a few more minutes and are very appreciative of the time. I mentioned there's something that you and I definitely agree on that I would love to know what your if you could elaborate, is structuring future contracts to be maybe more incentive laden. How would, and I understand, and you've made it very clear, you're not making the hire, you don't want to be on the committee, but certainly you could have an opinion here on how a contract for the next head coach should be structured.
That's a great question. I really appreciate that one, because you're right. If there is a contract that's going to be entered with the new head coach of the LSU's football program, and that contract requires the state of Louisiana to be a guarantor of it, you're absolutely right. I'm going to be looking at that contract, and I'm going to be opining on it. And I believe that the contracts moving forward should have metrics in them. It's not about the amount of money. It's about how is the program progressing? What are we winning? Are we winning SEC championships? Are we winning national championships? Are we getting to the bowl championship series? Those are things that say that the team is winning. I mean, look, we would not be having this discussion at all had LSU not been in the season that it is. I mean, I don't know. The chance of it getting to the bowl championship series at this point is pretty low. It'd be great if they did. But think about it. If we would not have lost a game, or maybe lost one game right now in the SEC, we wouldn't be talking about that, because because Kelly wouldn't be having a problem.
Just to be clear, if it cost, say, $100 million to lure a premier coach away from their current school, would you be in favor of LSU? As you mentioned, it would be the Board of Supervisors, right, as the guarantor, doing a deal like that, or would it? I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no. Back up. The Board of Supervisors, on its own, cannot say we want to pay somebody $100 million without putting the taxpayers liable. That's what people are missing.
Okay.
The Board of Supervisors is a subdivision of the state. If the Board of Supervisors in LSU goes bankrupt, we foot the bill. When they want to build a building, you know the amount of money that the state of Louisiana provides to those public universities and buildings and supplements, and I mean, they're constantly in front of us. And that's the other thing that seems to irritate me a little bit is, I said, when the governor's involved, it's a political process. They should come over to the legislature and see how many times LSU and the rest of these universities come over there with their hat in hand.
What about LSU athletics, however? Because as I understand it, LSU athletics is completely self-generated.
Really? So they built that stadium completely with no tax dollars?
Well, please.
They didn't come to the bond commission to be able to bond the projects. I mean, no, Matt. I mean, that's where everybody keeps missing the point. But look, if somebody came to me and said, hey, we need this coach, we're going to pay $100 million, and Matt Moscona is going to put the $100 million up or guarantee the $100 million, that's okay, fine.
Did taxpayer dollars fund stadium expansion?
That's a great question. But I can tell you one thing. Unless they had the cash, they had to bond it. If they went to bond it, they probably went to the bond commission. There is, you know who's on the bond commission? The governor, the Senate president, the speaker, the chairman of revenue, the House chairman of revenue, the House chairman of fiscal affairs, like the lieutenant governor, the secretary of state, the attorney general. Like, those are all political people.
Governor Jeff Landry is our guest. And I want to be very respectful of your time. You've been very generous with your time here. Do you worry that being vocal as you are could negatively affect LSU's ability to hire its next coach?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. In fact, I think it's more responsible. Because, again, we all have recognized, and you just discussed it, how we thought the contract that we got into was irresponsible. And the question becomes is, like, do we need $100 million to lure a coach? I don't know. They paid the guy at Vanderbilt who's whipping us $100 million? Like, I mean, there's great coaches out there. And, in fact, we're also looking at a model that I believe, this is just me as a football fan, not as the governor, has changed. We used to pay the coaches. Now we pay the coaches and the players.
By the way, would you want to hire Clark Lee from Vanderbilt? He's a pretty good coach. He's a pretty good coach.
I told you I'm not.
He's a pretty good coach.
Good, man.
All right, man. I can throw a line in the water.
Yeah, listen, I know, but here's the deal. I promise And I said that I was not picking the next coach, but I'm just looking at sports and the collegiate portfolio that's out there. And you look at the teams that are excelling right now. You're seeing Cinderella teams. You're seeing teams that wasn't there before. A lot of that has changed because of the NIL. I think there's a lot of guardrails that the NCAA needs to put in so that we continue to enjoy college football the way we always enjoyed it. And again, my biggest concern are the fans, because those fans in there are all taxpayers. And a lot of those fans over there didn't go to LSU. They just enjoy LSU football, and I want to see a great winning team.
What would you do about agents?
You know, it's a great question. I just think that, well, first of all, I would cap the amount of commissions that they can make like they do at the NFL and the MLB. I mean, think about it. I've heard that some of these agents are making as high as 20%.
Yes.
These are on young people. I mean, it's on students. Think about that. Now, you talk about the inflated price that we're paying for players right now. Well, so you pay a guy $1 million. Would you just soon add 1.2 million? I mean, they're inflating the price of what we have to pay for these players.
Governor Jeff Landry is our guest. Is there anything else that we haven't discussed that we need to?
I don't think so, Matt. The only thing I would ask is that if people out there, again, if anybody out there can find any facts of the things that I've said that are not true, I'm happy to look at that. But everything I've done with thorough research, and the only concern I have is to the taxpayers of the state and the fans in Tiger Stadium and the boys. And that's the other thing, too. The thing that's also been missing is there's a group of boys down there that have to put that uniform on, not next weekend, but the next, and play a very, very tough team. And I would love to see everybody rally around them.
I think everybody would love to see the Tigers go win in Tuscaloosa. That would be very refreshing. I would also love to know if there is any precedent for state tax dollars paying a buyout. I'll continue to do more research on that and see what I can come up with. Yes, sir.
But Matt, I think it's important. Whether that has never happened doesn't mean it can't happen. And the only way it can't happen is if the state is not the guarantor.
Well, I'll be fascinated to see if a future contract structure like that can be reached. Because I don't even know that's possible if you're talking about a public university, is it?
Well, you're right. And again, let's go back to the question you asked about my involvement in the contract. I'm happy. I don't have a problem with the state being a guarantor as long as it's reasonable. Because guess what? If a coach has metrics inside the contract and they are performance-based, then that means I know that the athletic director and those around can go around from those donors with the wherewithal to be able to pay the bonuses out there. I think if the state of Louisiana knows going in, hey, look, this is the minimum amount, but guess what? Every time we make one of these metrics, that the coach gets bonused up, and maybe that bonus adds up over time to be $100 million. That's fine, because that increases ticket sales and vendor sales. That means you bring in more tax base into Baton Rouge. Again, all of those things generate the economy. That's responsible contracting.
You've been very, very generous with your time. Would love to have you back if there's ever reason to visit again. We appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
Yes, sir. That is Governor Jeff Landry joining us here for a few minutes. We're brought to you by First South Farm Credit, firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com. If you're thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. Of course, no matter where you are in the state of Louisiana or any of the lower 48, our friends over at First South Farm Credit for more than 100 years, they've done one thing. They've done it better than anyone. They help Louisianians buy land. If it's recreational property, if it's 20 acres, 100 acres to build your family's dream home, if it's 1,000 acres for agriculture, our friends at First South Farm Credit can help. FirstSouthland.com, FirstSouthland.com. I could talk to him for an hour. So much more I wanted to get into, but he gave us way more time than he was initially allotted to. So I am very grateful for the governor for giving us his time. I still think there's that one giant sticking point where there is just no precedent at all for the taxpayers footing the bill. He's right in a legal sense that, yes, with the Board of Supervisors, the state of Louisiana as the guarantor, if it were to go to court and LSU were to lose a buyout case, then yes, he's legally right. He's a very smart man. He was the attorney general of the state. He's an attorney. He's a very smart man. But you can't ignore precedent. Especially as a lawyer, you can't ignore precedent. So it'll be fascinating to watch how all this unfolds. And my suspicion is LSU will raise the money and they'll buy out Brian Kelly. But we'll see how it all plays out. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're with us. Let me knock out a quick break. If you want to react, you can. We'll continue. Stick around.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured in an accident, it's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for 3 decades. Go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com, get Gordon and get it done. I love telling you about Gordon McKernan, not just because of how he helps people who have been injured recover the damages they're entitled to, but on top of that, the many, many, many ways that Gordon gives back to the state of Louisiana and the communities that he and his team serve. Every year around the holidays, they have the bicycle giveaway, which is coming up. Very much looking forward to telling you about that and seeing those great photos that always pop up around the holidays every single year. Of course, around graduation time, it's the laptop giveaway. He furnished the garage, his podcast studio that anybody in the public, you want to go do a podcast, you can use his facility. Just amazing philanthropic work in helping people in our community. It's Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona. Presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalvr.com.
I'm glad you're rolling along with us here on this Thursday edition of AFR. I'm going to be a little quick here so I can try to get back on time. We went a little long with Governor Landry, but sincerely appreciate him for taking the time to join us on the show to explain his point of view and where he's coming from. What I will tell you is part of me, just very candidly, wrestled a little bit with well, I didn't really wrestle with it, but I did give consideration to whether or not we should have the conversation for a couple of primary reasons. Listen, I'm sitting here doing the show today on LSU's campus in the journalism building. Like, I love this school. I say it all the time. I don't just love LSU football. You don't have to listen. I'm not one of those people like, you didn't go to school there, you can't be a fan. Of course you can. LSU is part of the fabric of our state. I don't care if you didn't go to LSU, that's fine. Like, I want everybody to love and support LSU and everything they do. It's such an important part of our state. But I love LSU, and I don't just mean LSU football or baseball or basketball or whatever. Like, I love LSU. I want LSU to be awesome in everything, from research and space projects or whatever. Like, if there's a Tiddlywinks club, I want them to crush it. All right. And yes, I want LSU athletics to be great because it's a lot of fun. It's great for the city, the state. It's great for me professionally, all that sort of stuff. So, like, I want LSU to be great. And I do worry from that standpoint that I do worry that the governor's comments are having a negative effect. We had Ross Dellinger here with us in hour one from Yahoo, who effectively said, like, he's hearing a lot of that. Listen, I mean, there's been a lot of reaction. Can you play Gene Chizik? This is Gene Chizik earlier today on the SEC Network, former Auburn head football coach. So this is a former head football coach in the SEC and at North Carolina and at Iowa State. He's been around talking about the governor's comments.
There's a lot of things that happen in these hiring process, Alyssa, that, everybody talks about, he talked about maybe putting a committee together, right? Well, I always kind of have a chuckle on that because who's on the committee? Like, what expert on the committee that you're putting together is the expert on hiring a football coach?
Right.
If your committee's made of board members, and I'm sure there'll be a mixture, but this is not a perfect science. So there'll be a lot of interest. That could run some people scared to a degree by listening to that. But if they had two equal schools that they're choosing from, it could balance it out. They want to go to the other one. But most guys would crawl. I repeat, crawl to be the head coach at LSU. Yeah. So it's a great place, and they'll do a good job hiring somebody.
And that's the hope. But to the first point he said, if you're looking at LSU and Florida and Penn State, and then potentially other openings as well that could come. Like there's rumors about Steve Sarkisian in the NFL. What if Texas comes open, right? You've been down that road when LSU and Texas were both open in 2016, and the guy you wanted, Tom Herman, ended up picking Texas instead. So, there's going to be competition, and I think it's right to wonder, like, is this causing conversation around something that's unnecessary? But the flip side of it is, as I was starting this to tell you, when I was deciding to have the convo, I mean, my obligation, I always say, is to my audience. My obligation is to you, the listener, the viewer. And if I have a chance to put the governor of the state on this show to have a frank conversation about what is the biggest topic in college football right now, and really the sports world, of course I'm going to do it. And I'll spend 20 minutes talking to our governor and allowing him to clarify his point of view. I don't know that I don't know that we made up a lot of ground on the contracts and things of that nature and the buyout and all that. But it was definitely an interesting conversation. And again, I want to say, like, he and I agree. He has good ideas. I agree completely with him on how to structure a contract. I also believe that in so doing, in not guaranteeing money, you're not going to get the bet. You're not going to get Lane Kiffin. You're not going to get Dan Lanning. Okay, you can do what A&M did and get Mike Elko from Duke. Are people going to be doing backflips if you get Dan Mullen from UNLV or maybe Kenny Dillingham from Arizona State? I'm still not names. I don't know. But, like, are you going to be, like, is John Sumrall from Tulane going to move the needle the way getting Brian Kelly, the winningest active coach in college football, did? Probably not. But Brian Kelly didn't work. And it's one of the reasons why in this era, I do agree with him, where I'll tell you the last hiring cycle, I wanted the big name. In 2016, I wanted the big name because you're LSU, you want to reduce risk because you don't have to take a chance. You have to take a shot on somebody. You just heard Gene Chizik say people crawl to get to Baton Rouge because of all you have to offer, especially if you're paying. But I think it's just proven. Like, look at Clark Lee. Look at Eli Drinkwitz. Look at Rhett Lashley. Look at coaches. Dan Lanning's a first-time head coach, so he's got great resources at Oregon. If you have the commitment and the buy-in and you get the right guy, you can win in this culture. And sometimes the guys who have done it for a long time in the way things used to be done are struggling in this culture of college football to win. So, like, the governor and I agree very much on that point, on how to structure a contract moving forward. I agree with him wholeheartedly on the agent piece. I disagree with him on Scott Woodward. I do. And he knows that. He and I spoke privately this morning, and that's okay. We can have that disagreement. And he wouldn't give a direct answer about Scott Woodward's future. He deflected that to the Board of Supervisors and the new university president they'll be hired. But it's very clear that the governor is having influence, as he should, by the way, because every governor does. It doesn't matter if it's Jeff Landry or John Bell Edwards or Bobby Jindal or Kathleen Blanco or Mike Foster. I mean, go through the years. Like, every governor is going to choose board members and will have influence over the selection of the university president. And the LSU system is a massive system with 2 hospitals as well, and teaching hospitals, and it's a giant thing in our state. It's a giant entity, and the governor will have say in that stuff. Every governor will and should. As it trickles down to the football coach, and that's why he was very clear to deflect. Say, I'm not picking the coach. Okay. But a lot of the influence and the things that are shaping up that will influence who picks the coach and what coach they're able to pick are going to be influenced. So I think Scott Woodward is an amazing athletic director. And I would love to see him continue to be LSU's athletic director. But if he doesn't have the autonomy to hire coaches, then that is it's a toothless bite. You have taken away the autonomy he has to do his job. So I don't know how he can continue doing his job. So you're at very much of an impasse where you're not going to fire Scott Woodward. Or let me rephrase that. Scott Woodward is not going to resign. He's got 3.5 years. and about $6.5 million left on his contract. He ain't walking away from that. He'd be stupid to. So you're going to fire him? Okay. You're going to fire him and pay him $6.5 million while we're sitting here having the buyout convo? That's the impasse they're at. So, in any event. All right, it's after further review. Let's get back on track. I'm going to grab a quick break. Our Thursday shows are presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. We're glad to have you. Always love telling you about the Williamson Eye Center. Dr. Blake Williamson, awesome. You want to ditch the contacts and glasses forever? Do what I did. I had LASIK 7 years ago. I still see better than 20/20. Awesome. The Williamson Eye Center, Dr. Blake Williamson, great dude, an amazing, I shouldn't call him, well, he's a great dude. Went to England and watched the Oasis reunion tour because he loves music too. He's a real human being and he's awesome. And you'll talk to him and you'll get to know him and you'll also understand that he's a brilliant ophthalmologist. And if it's LASIK or EVO ICL or the custom lens replacement, PRK, he does it all better than anyone. It's the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com. All right, it's after further review. We're glad you're with us. One of the things I am working right now to try to get a hold of is information, is something that the governor and I were discussing, that he didn't have the answer, and I do not have the answer offhand, but I'm trying to get it, is if taxpayer dollars have ever funded a facilities project at LSU. I do not believe that has happened, but I'm trying to get that answer, and when we have it, I'll have it before we're off air, and I'll share it with you. Okay, it's after further review. We'll knock out a quick break. We'll do what to watch for this weekend in football, and then we'll talk to Lee Sterling in about 12 minutes from right now, get his best bets of the weekend. Stay here at AFR.
After further review.
We're brought to you by Rev, R-E-V. Let's Rev. 90 years right here in South Louisiana. 90 years providing incredible service, homes and businesses. If you need lightning fast internet speed, and who doesn't? Like, I stream video all the time. You don't think I need lightning fast internet? Also, as many podcasts and everything as I do for my home, what happens if the internet goes out? It's not an option. So that's why my wife and I switched to Rev. All fiber network. Obviously, it's buried under the ground, so winds, rain, storms come, knocks down power lines, things like that. You don't have to worry about it. Fiber network is buried under the ground, so you never have to worry about losing connectivity. Lightning fast speed, 90 years of local service. It's Rev. Let'sRev.com, R-E-V. Let'sRev.com.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at DecisionCriticalBR.com.
All right, rolling along here, Thursday edition of AFR. We always appreciate Blasia, Rivette, and the great staff over at Decision Critical. By the way, if you're a physician and you're not familiar with Decision Critical, you need to be. They can even be at like post-op appointments. Their nurses can be to help carry out your doctor's orders in the home to keep your patient out of the hospital. It's Decision Critical. They always say it's not just healthcare, it's healthcare for your lifestyle, from newborn to end-of-life care, anything in between. Maybe you got an unfortunate diagnosis, you need in-home care. Our friends at Decision Critical are fantastic. Just I told you a few weeks back, Drew needed blood labs drawn. He's a difficult stick, and he's a special needs kiddo, and there's a lot of complications. So the nurses from Decision Critical came to our home at 9 o'clock on a Monday night to do his blood draws. They're amazing. DecisionCriticalBR.com, DecisionCriticalBR.com. All right, it is after further review. Lee Sterling with his best bets are coming up here in just a smidge. We do it every Thursday. We do what to watch here in the football weekend. Hit it, Muse.
Here's what we're watching this football weekend.
Mute.
All right, we're going to move quickly here. Start with Thursday Night Football. Lamar Jackson's back for the Ravens. They're at the Dolphins. Big favorite in the game are the Ravens. This is huge. This could be their start to their climb back here in the AFC North after a 2-5 start.
I'm watching Vandy, Texas. Vandy currently 7-1, ranked number 9 in the country. Texas coming off the overtime thrill against Mississippi State. Arch Manning still questionable as he returns from concussion protocol.
All right, I'll cheat. Tyler Shuck's first career start. Of course, we're going to be watching that, but that's where I'll go. Let's keep an eye on how Tyler Shuck does in his first career start.
All right, Miami and SMU. This is a spot for the Hurricanes here to keep an eye on. They're a big favorite. SMU coming off an embarrassing loss, but Miami, the score looked great last week. They didn't score until almost the end of the first half against Stanford. Definitely sleptwalk off of their loss. This is an 11 a.m. kick. Keep an eye on it.
Broncos, Texans, Sean Payton having success in Denver, making all those Saints fans wondering what if. Broncos are 6-2. Houston coming off one of its bigger. Houston is one of the bigger disappointments this season. C.J. Stroud coming off his best game of the season. Texans looking to get back to 500.
Colts are 3-point favorites against the Steelers. They're 7-1. The Colts are. Well, that tops the NFL. Their 85.0 team PFF grade is 5th in the NFL, and they are headed for the playoffs. But tough test against Pittsburgh. Steelers are 4-3. They can't really afford many slip-ups. Big opportunity for the Colts. Big-time need game here for the Steelers.
Late on the West Coast, Rice-Eccles Stadium, College game day, Utah hosting Cincinnati. Have you seen the line in this football game? 10.5 in favor of Utah. What? Cincinnati, 7 straight wins. This opened at 7.5. It's been bet up there. Brendan Sorsby's good to go. He's fine, and he's been awesome. That's a stinky line. Maybe someone knows something that we don't.
Here we go again. Chiefs and Bills. Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes. Josh Allen has a 4-1 edge in the regular season, but the one that matters, Patrick Mahomes, 4-0 record in the postseason. Chiefs have rebounded nicely, coming off the 0-2 start. Bills have lost 2 of 3. Who will get the upper hand in the AFC?
Cocktail party, Billy Gonzalez, former LSU assistant Billy Gonzalez, with his debut there as the interim head coach for the Gators. Number 5, Georgia, from Jacksonville against unranked Florida. Georgia, 7.5-point favorite. I think, sneaky suspicion, we just might get a question in there about that one for Lee Sterling, who is coming up next. That's what to watch here with Muse, Paulie, and I. 3 things we tell you to keep an eye on every Thursday. We come back on Monday after the football weekend and recap it all. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. Our Thursday shows are presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge, and I love telling you about South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland, or southpointvw.com, southpointvw.com. Again, Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. They're just the best. If you're in the market for a new vehicle, make sure you check out our friends at South Point Volkswagen. New and certified pre-owned. So even if you're not looking to buy a Volkswagen, if you're buying and shopping a certified pre-owned vehicle, easy. Make sure you shop the South Point Volkswagen lot. Because they move so much new inventory, they get more trade-ins, they have a great selection. You win. South Point Volkswagen. southpointvw.com, South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction? All right, y'all, it is After Further Review. Thanks again to Governor Jeff Landry, who was with us at the start of this hour. If you missed that, you can catch it on demand, podcast, YouTube. It's all there for you. Ross Dellinger was here in hour number 1 as well to talk a little bit about the national reaction to the governor's comments. We will continue Lee Sterling with his best bets for the weekend. That's coming up next to wrap up hour 2 of AFR.
After Further Review.
GLO, Glow Resources, glowresources.com. Glow Resources, they're complete employer solutions at Glow Resources. And you've heard me say it enough by now. We say complete employer solutions. Actually changed it. It used to be complete employee solutions. But as Jareth Knockan and the team evaluated what they do at Glow Resources, they don't work for the employee. They work for you, the employer. They work for the business owner. They are not a temp staffing agency. They are a permanent hiring solution for any industry, any job that you might need filled. Skilled blue-collar labor, they're experts at finding those skilled blue-collar labor workers, no matter where your job may be. Maybe, like, they give me an example of an engineering firm based in Texas that was doing work in India, and they found the engineer in Mississippi who was able to relocate. They can connect all those dots to make your business the most efficient it can be. So check them out. Start online, GLO, glowresources.com.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
Place your bets, gentlemen.
It's time to head to the window.
Don't gamble it all in one place.
This is Lee Sterling's Best Bets, brought to you by Paramount Sports.
We're wrapping up hour number 2 from the journalism building here, the Manship School of Mass Communication at LSU at the Sports Summit today. Awesome to be here with the next generation of Manship alums for the Sports Summit and to do this 3-hour show hanging out here. And always a pleasure to visit with Lee Sterling, ParamountSports.com. Lee, before you came on, I was giving a little preamble about Georgia, Florida, because it's going to be Billy Napier's debut as the interim head coach. Georgia, 7.5, I guess, depending where we look. Gators get the interim bump. What you think?
The line the last 4 years has been at least 14 points or greater.
Oh.
So, yeah. And I don't think that much has changed. Now, sometimes you get a bump when players don't like a coach. Maybe next week, Brian Kelly's situation in LSU. But I think these coaches have been trying to line up employment for next year. I think the Georgia offense seems better than the individual parts, and they seem to be getting better in the second half of games. And they've beaten Florida by 14, 22, 23, and 27 points. Sometimes you got to lay it if you want to play it. Georgia, 31-20.
A couple of double-digit lines I do want to talk about. Ole Miss against South Carolina. God, the Gamecocks were so close to upsetting Alabama. Big number here for the Rebs. What do we think?
Yeah, and I think that South Carolina might have given it their all. We might have seen their best shot, and they may not have much left. So defenses like that keep trying to hold on and play at a high level and, quite frankly, aren't that talented, eventually the dam bursts. And this might be that game. And also their offensive line, they played about as well as they could play last week. Now, as long as Lane Kiffin doesn't try to go for it 4th and 1 from his 20-something yard line up 12, they might be okay. Man. I like Ole Miss. I think they pull away late here and win this game 42-23.
Lee Sterling, ParamountSports.com. Shorter number and a couple of big ones. Tennessee against Oklahoma. This is really a do or die, it feels like, for both of these teams. Tennessee, 3-point favorite. Can that pass defense hold up? What do you think, Lee?
You know what? I don't know if Tennessee is going to play at this higher level as they've played on offense over and over again. I like Oklahoma as a dog much better betting them than as a favorite. John McTeer made a lot of really bad reads last week. He's accustomed to trying to doing maybe a little bit too much. He needs to play more within himself. I'm hearing they talked to him and said, hey, sometimes you just got to check down here and let the talent get the ball to the playmakers here. I think they're going to do it here. Tennessee also 2-5 against the spread as a home favorite, ranking favorite. Ooh. OU 31-28.
Couple more for you. How about Texas Vanderbilt? Arch up in the air. Will he play? Won't he? Texas a 2.5-point favorite. That one stinks to me, Lee. What say you?
All right, so Vanderbilt's crazy. 2 weeks in a row are the feature game, the biggest game in college football. What have we come to?
Right.
I remember I had a good friend of mine. He went to Vanderbilt. He was a quarterback in high school, went to Vanderbilt as a safety. He said the first year he went there, he was in a library, and they were mocking him, the band members. One band member told him on the bye week, told him beat open, and another, when they were playing a team they were going to get blown out by Alabama, told them beat the point spread. So things have changed. They're 15-6 against the spread since the start of last year. Texas, getting by Kentucky and Mississippi State in overtime. Nick Saban would be under fire if that happened. Arch Manning may not even play in this game. If they have to go to Matthew Caldwell, who is at Jacksonville State, Gardner Webb, Troy, and now Texas, look out. They're in trouble. In his 5 starts, 8 interceptions. If you're counting on Texas, which they had 2 punt returns for touchdowns, they probably won 2 of their games. You know what? I wouldn't bet on it. Wrong team favorite, Vanderbilt straight up 24-20.
How about the Doors, man? Saints stink, man. They're a 13.5-point dog on the road. They keep it close?
Anyone wants to get that game for free? How about this? We're going to give it to them for free. 800-400-9741. got something on that. And then the last game, Auburn and Kentucky. I think Kentucky keeps it close here.
Okay.
I think this Auburn team, when you're switching quarterbacks, I don't like Daniels a whole lot. I mean, they didn't know what to do with him. They didn't know how to game plan him because they hadn't seen him really all year. So with a week to game plan, I think Kentucky's gonna give a spirited effort here. I think Auburn wins close. Another close one, 26-24.
You want Saints Rams, 800-400-9741, 800-400-9741, 800-400-9741. Lee, what else we got going on over at Paramount Sports?
Yeah, all they need to do is check out the website. So we rate our games from 10 to 50 units. We rate them, like I said, our biggest plays are 40 to 50 unit max wagers. We have a history of record of, how about this, 73 and 29 lifetime on our biggest plays. Rarely will we have one, maybe once a month. How about this? First time ever in 17 years, 3-in-1 weekend. How do you get it? Not the November. We call it the Dovember special, a month of games, just $3.97 with coupon code SAVE100, one place. ParamountSports.com.
Use the code SAVE100 at ParamountSports.com. Lee Sterling. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thanks, Matt.
Be well. We're brought to you by Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service. ShawBillsTire.com. Locations all over South Louisiana. You know where to find them. Tomorrow is the last day. Tomorrow is the last day. Tomorrow is the last day for the Michelin Special. Stacking rebates plus a free installation, $118 value. That's $278 off a set of 4 new Michelin tires only at Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service. Shop them online. Schedule your service at ShawBillsTire.com. ShawBillsTire.com. Shaw Bills, we keep you rolling. All right, hour 3 from the journalism building here at LSU kicks off after Sports Center.
AFR.
You know, it is very appropriate that we're here at LSU because part of the fabric of LSU is our friends at Our Lady of the Lake. They are the championship health partner of LSU athletics, and I could tell you from covering LSU athletics for 20 years now nearly, and having a great partnership with Our Lady of the Lake, I can tell you how much the folks at Our Lady of the Lake appreciate and respect their relationship with LSU, the care they take in taking care of the championship athletes at LSU, and they have the contract for the student health center. So these students on campus as well. And then everyday champions like you and me. I've shared my own personal experience for years. Dr. Kurt Chastain with the Our Lady of the Lake Men's Health Group is my personal physician. We've taken Drew to Our Lady of the Lake Children's Hospital. Amazing resource that Our Lady of the Lake is for our community. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU. Together, we roar.